What's up, barbecue fans? Today we're talking about the Kamado and Kamados in general, and I'm sharing with you my 6 things you need to know about a Kamado style cooker. Let's get into it. Let's jump right into number 1, and that is quality of lump matters. Now listen, when you get a Kamado style cooker, you got to understand that it's not going to use briquettes or match light, all that junk. It's going to use lump. Lump burns hotter and lasts longer. But the thing to understand is don't cut corners, like, you know, especially if you're coming from like a gas grill or something like that. You know, you're used to getting 20 or 25 bucks to fill up a propane tank, and it goes for a long time. A bag of charcoal does not last as long, so it's common to try and cut corners and save some money. If you use a low quality lump, here's what's going to happen. 2 things. Number 1, you are going to have temperature swings. There's going to be low quality in there. It's going to be, the density of the lump is going to vary throughout the bag. It's going to have big pieces and small pieces, and all these little things are going to add to a little bit of temperature swing, which is a pain in the butt. You're going to be out here worrying about temperatures and chasing your tail. Number 2, the ability to hold high heat for extended periods of time is greatly diminished. Lots of times what will happen is you're doing a reverse sear, and then you'll crank it up to 600-700 degrees to get your sear done. You'll let your steaks rest, and then you go to sear them, and you've already lost some power. It just burns real quick. Or, you know, if you're trying to do like a higher temperature, just some straight up grilling, right? We're trying to grill some chicken or burgers or whatever at 400, 450, you'll find that you're going to go through it very, very quick. It just doesn't last that long. If you use a high quality lump, they're generally going to be larger pieces, but what's going to happen is it's going to last longer. It's going to burn hotter, and over time, the cost will actually be less. Sounds counterintuitive. You're going to spend a lot more on charcoal than you think, but if you compare them over time, the premium grade is going to last you longer, and actually the cost per cook is going to go down to spend more money in the beginning. Now, there are a bunch of brands out there. I have not tried them all. A couple that I'm familiar with, Fogo, they've got a premium, and then they've got a black bag, which is mainly for grilling. So if you're going to grill some burgers or whatever, use the black. If you're going to do some smokes, use the premium. Jealous Devils make some good charcoal. I used to be a big supporter of Big Block from Kamado Joe. Now, I don't know if my expectations changed from when I used it to the last time I used it. I don't know if maybe just because I used a lot more Fogo that it just doesn't compare to Fogo, or the quality is kind of diminished. But the last time I used some, it did not last as long as I remembered it lasting. So I don't really recommend it anymore. Look, you can get it at Lowe's. It's in a pinch. It is better than something you're going to get at the grocery store, but I recommend investing in something like Jealous Devil or Fogo. I use a lot of the Kamado products. Their cocoa chars made from coconut shells is super high density. I've got a ton of it, so I use that. It's amazing for smoking. It lasts forever, and you can get it on the Kamado website. I don't think cocoa char is on there, which is the coffee lump. I haven't seen that in a little while. I have a ton left. I bought like, I don't know, 300 pounds of it at one point in time, so I'm still burning through some of that. But you know, if I don't have that, I typically will use something like Fogo. There's a couple other brands out there. I hear good things about the Good Charcoal Company, I think it's called. But you know, just don't buy at the grocery store. Spend some money and get a good quality lump. Number 2, and this will save you a bunch of headache. Learn to start it properly. Now, when you're new to a Kamado style cooker, lots of times people start with these guys. These are wax cubes, or not wax cubes, wax squares. You can get wax cubes, whoever makes some. And what you do is you light the corner of them or 2 sides of them, and then you kind of put some lump around it, maybe a little bit over top of it, but you gotta leave room to breathe. And then these will burn for about 10 minutes. If you only use one of these and you're trying to do a 600-degree cook, you're going to be waiting 30 to 45 minutes before you're up to temperature. And what happens there is frustration creeps in, and then every time you think about using your nice cooker out here, you're just like, oh man, I don't want to wait 45 minutes to get up to temperature. These work. I used them for 4 or 5, maybe 6 years before I moved on to other solutions. But here's the trick. If you're gonna go 200, 225, use one. If you're gonna go up to 350, use two. If you're gonna go up to like 550, 600, use three. Light them all up. You need a lot of heat there to get your lump, and then that way you're gonna get up the temperature far more quicker, at least twice as fast, right? So they work, but there are other options. The second option is this guy right here. We've got a tumbleweed here, and we've got this steel ball. What we do is we light that, and then this ball allows oxygen to be around the tumbleweed so it doesn't snuff it out, and then you can kind of bury some lump on it, and all the lump above it is going to get caught on fire. These work pretty good as well. Same concept. Maybe you use two and bury it a little deeper so you can get more lump over it when you're trying to go to high temperatures. The third way, and I gotta be honest, I resisted this for a long time, but I wish I had done it sooner. I broke down and bought myself a Grill Blazer grill gun. Now this guy works with either a 1 pound tank or a 20 pound tank. I've got a little hose adapter there, and you could hook it up to 20 pound tank. I go use the 1 pound, and like I go through I don't know, a couple of these a year. They're not terrible. Maybe 3 because I cook all year round. I don't think it's quite 3. I think it's probably 2. And what I do is when I use them and I'm done, all I do is I use a screwdriver and I vent out all the remaining part that I couldn't get out of here burning. And I wait till it's completely empty, and then I just drill a hole in them to make sure that when they get crushed, they don't explode. And I throw them in garbage. So the way this guy works is super simple. We open it up just a crack, we squeeze our trigger, we've got a flame going. You can open up the valve that way, or there's a little safety switch here and you can hold that down and squeeze the trigger. This throws out a huge flame like this long that is super, super hot. And now, if you're gonna go for 450, use that for like 45 seconds, a minute, and you've got everything hot. It cuts down time tremendously and makes the thought of going out to use your Kamado style cooker more enjoyable because you can get to cooking a lot quicker, right? So I highly recommend them. I use them in my offset, I use them in my wood-fired oven, I use them in my fire pit. So you'll find other uses for it. And let me tell you, if you want to have a quick fire, it's nice to be able to just go turn on some music and you've got a nice booming fire ready to the get-go, and you can sit down and enjoy your company. So I do have a discount code for the Grill Blazer grill gun below. Save 10%, use Rum and Cook. But I spent a long time using other methods, and when I finally broke down and used the Grill Blazer grill gun, I was like, oh, why didn't I do this sooner? Number 3, heat soaking is important. So there is a little caveat here. If you're gonna grill some hot dogs or some burgers or some steaks and you're doing a quick cook, treat this guy like a Weber kettle. Throw some lump in there, fire it up, and get it nice and hot and grill, right? Beyond that, the whole reason why these cookers are so amazing is because what happens, if you look, we've got very, very thick, in this case it's refractory cement. Lots of times we refer to them as ceramic cookers, although I'll tell you, there's not really ceramic. I don't know what they're made out of, but you know, it's a material that holds in heat, right? This guy is very, very thick all the way around. And what happens here is once that gets hot, this is where the cooker shines, you get 360-degree cooking. Right, because we're going to have all of the surfaces around it properly heat soaked, and we're going to fire that heat energy into the meat. Okay, if you don't heat soak properly, you're not really getting the benefits of what this cooker can really do for you. Now, I'll give you an example. Right, in one of these, there's not a lot of moving air. So when you're doing something like chicken, one of the best things you can do on a Kamado style cooker as your early cooks is do yourself some chicken, because it will be the juiciest chicken you've had in a long time, and it's going to have some great flavor in it. Because what happens here is we're going to cook it quick, but also there's very little air movement to suck away any moisture. So you end up with a really, really good quality product. You know, you can see I've got my pizza stone on here. I did a video called the Ultimate Pepperoni Pizza that I did on the pizza stone here. This raises up in the dome and I get a little bit of top-down cooking. Now look, I'm not gonna get like a wood-fired oven, that crispy pepperoni cups that have got a little bit of char on them. I would have to overcook my pizza to get that effect. This is not a pizza oven. However, makes some pretty damn good pizza. I mean, when you get one, you should be making some pizza soon. I tell you what, it's gonna ruin delivery for you because it's gonna be some amazing pizza. I'll link to that video up here, but look, heat soaking is important. That way you're gonna get the maximum cooking quality that you can, and it's the whole reason why a Kamado style cooker is so popular, because they really do an amazing job if you heat soak them properly. Number 4, all smokers are different. Look, if you're anything like me, you're probably spending time researching and learning on YouTube. It's how I got my start. I learned for many, many years before I started my channel, and it's a great resource. But here's the thing, a lot of people make mistakes where they're watching something like an offset and they're cooking at 275 and it's done in X amount of time and they're using that as a reference. Or they're talking about a pellet grill and they're using it at 200 or 225 and they're using that as a reference. A Kamado will cook quicker than some of the other options. The reason why is we've got the 360-degree cooking I was telling you about, right? So you can't directly take from a different smoker. Even like if you look at Big Green Egg or Kamado Joe, two most popular ones out there, they're very, very thin. They don't have as much heat energy as a Kamado does. So one of the reasons why you're paying the extra money for this is that this is a high-end luxury Kamado style cooker. Things are going to cook slightly differently on this than they are the other Kamados. But the point here is that take the basics away and then just remember that it might not directly translate to your specific cooker. So learn the ins and outs, watch some content around your smoker, and then take the good pieces that you want from some of these other videos and apply them to your cooks. Number 5. And this is an important one, the tenderness of meat is king. I mentioned watching other YouTube content, and a lot of times people get hyper-focused, they're trying to learn how to make a brisket, and there's a whole bunch of videos out there that say you gotta wrap at 165 because of the stall and all this stuff. They will also say, oh, you know, brisket's gonna be done around 203. It does not matter what the final temperature of your meat is. It matters the tenderness. Now, obviously, let's say it was tender at 203 and you took it up to 208, it's gonna get a little mushy, right? So there is something to do with the temperature there. But the most important part is having an instant read thermometer. This is my ThermoWorks MK4. It's an older one, but it gets the job done. And what happens here is, yes, I'm gonna look at temperature, but most importantly, I'm gonna use this guy to probe into my meat, right? This end right here, this is the most important of the whole thing. Right? It's going to go into the meat and we want to feel warm peanut butter. We want to feel the entire piece of meat to make sure that we don't have any spots that are tough still. So yes, use the other temperature and time as a guideline, but at the end of the day, good barbecue comes from really looking at the tenderness and just nailing that part right. There are no rules in barbecue. That's the best thing about barbecue. Right? You can do it a whole bunch of different ways. There's no right ways and wrong ways, and you can make it your own. It's all about experimentation. So use what you guys guidelines and then focus on your tenderness. It will step up your game. That brings us to our final thing you need to know. Number 6, practice makes perfect. I talk about this a fair amount. And what I want people to understand is that what you make today that you think is good versus what you make in 5 years is going to be night and day, right? Not saying this isn't good barbecue, but you're going to get better. The only way is to put in the time. You got to grind it out, right? Lots of people only cook from spring to fall, so they're cooking really half the year, maybe a little bit more depending on where you live, but you're only getting in 20 or 30 cooks, so it's going to take you some time to get better. The thing is, you got to keep working at it. You got to keep practicing, because just like anything else, it doesn't matter if you're learning how to play basketball, learn how to drive, ride a bike. You got to practice, you got to fail, you got to make mistakes, and you've got to learn. And you know, lots of people, they watch a video on YouTube, and I gotta tell you, YouTube's a lot of perfect barbecue. No one's sharing their mistakes. They're all showing you perfect barbecue. Now, some of these channels, they've been doing it for 10, 20 years. So for them to make a mistake, it doesn't happen very often, but no one's sharing that on YouTube. I pride myself in sharing my mistakes. There's lots of things I've never cooked before, or new methods that I'm gonna try, and I just roll with it. I don't practice a video one time, and if it doesn't work out, edit it out or delete it and try again. No, I'm about transparency and just showing you honest backyard barbecue. You're gonna make mistakes. I've been smoking meat actually for about 30 years. I've had a whole bunch of different smokers and cookers over the years, and it has changed dramatically. But I never gave up. I kept working harder, and the greatest thing that YouTube has done for me, other than allowing me to share my passion, is that it's pushed me to be better for you guys. Right? My brisket 5 years ago versus today is night and day difference, but I'm 500 cooks later, actually probably upwards of 1,000 if I look at my other cookers. So just jump in, have some fun, share it with your neighbors, your friends, your family, and enjoy it. If you got some value to this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so below. If you want to learn more about the Kamado, I got a whole video right here. I'll hook you up with that. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.